And now he is getting ready to go to the Arnold in 3 weeks to compete.
And this is powerlifting, sir?
No, in bodybuilding.
I'm retarded. There we go.
Yeah.
So wait.
So,
So no, because
but
when
he
you
trains
said,
here.
huh?
He trains here.
When you said lifting, because so I already know like some of the pre-questions I'm gonna ask, but you think he's gonna win?
I think he's got a very good chance.
So so the camera's rolling, by the way, with
Sure.
just my everything content. I don't do like, hey everybody, like and subscribe. So before we start, again, like I told you already 1,000 times over the phone, I want to say thank you for this opportunity. Done a lot for me, and you know so little about me, so I want to return that as best I can as a content creator. I want to give a shout out to the Southside Barbell community as a whole for allowing me this opportunity. Coming in, utilizing your facility. Great manager, great boss, great owner of the facility. Nothing but good energy. For my audience that knows me, they know how I get jittery when I meet new people, trying to gauge energies. But this man has been nothing but kind to me, so this is me returning the favor for all that he's done. So with that being said, sir, please introduce yourself, and the questions will just flow, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. So my name's Chad Dunn. I'm one of the partners of Southside Barbell. I'm the only one out of the five of us that is not a veteran. It's me, my wife, one of my best friends, Jake,
Yes, sir.
who you know, his wife, and Kevin, who's been a longtime friend, really since I got started in strongman and powerlifting. He and I actually competed in our first strongman meet in
Keep going.
January of 2011. Yeah, so January of 2011, he and I competed in our first strongman meet together and competed against each other in the novice weight class.
PTSD. One time I made content and it didn't record, and I was like, "Oh my god, bro, I'm so sorry." But no, so I know that kind of like, dude, what the fuck? But no, so if you don't mind me asking, before we get into actually being like an owner of a gym, so what got you into strongman? Like, so out of all of them, you got Olympic lifting, you got bodybuilding, whatever. What spoke out to you about powerlifting and strongman to where you said, "Hey, I want to like compete in these"?
So to kind of backtrack to get into that, I actually I used to ride BMX. Believe it or not, I'm huge now, but I wasn't always built like this. But I rode BMX.
Okay. You miss it
Middle
sometimes?
school.
No, stop. Yeah, yeah.
I actually still have my frame and some components, and I say one I'm gonna put it back together just for the hell of it. But rode BMX, and one of my buddies that I rode BMX with was like, "Hey," he's like, "I'm gonna go work out with the football team tomorrow up at the high school," and this is the summer before our freshman year, so probably end of July, beginning of August time frame in 2002. Yeah, something like that, 2002. He was like, "I'm gonna go work out. You want to go?" I was like, "All right, cool." So we jump on our bikes, meet up, and pedal our asses up to the high school, and got obliterated.
You remember what you trained that day, sir?
Everything, because back then it wasn't like you had a speed day, max effort day, or there was no dynamic. It was a football team. The team got in there. We all kind of rotated through stations. They trained Tuesdays and Thursdays.
A lot of explosiveness, I'd imagine.
Some power cleans.
Okay.
Squat, power clean, bench press. There was like some dynamic, like medicine ball type stuff. We would do abs. So one of the older guys that was upperclassman pissed off one of the coaches or got in trouble. And so in between each station, we would do 5 minutes of ab work. So as a 13-year-old kid who's never worked out before, you do 5 minutes of flutter kicks, dead bugs, whatever, and absolutely got our asses kicked, dude. And so the next day, I woke up and I've never been so sore in my life. I mean, from my jaw to my toes, just so sore. and like just roll over and kind of fall out of bed.
You liked it a little bit though too, because you continued it, I'd imagine.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. Okay.
I've never. Well, there was a little hiatus, but I've never truly quit.
Okay.
So, anyways, to get through that, I went through a few weeks of weight training, and then got my ass kicked in football. Turned into the new kid JV and got beat on a lot, um, but I mean, I was never small because going into my freshman year, I weighed 215 pounds.
Okay.
So not exactly a small 13-year-old.
Okay.
But played my freshman year, and my dad comes home from work one day. He goes, "Hey, I got this guy. I want us to go meet. He's a weightlifting coach."
Okay.
I was like, "All right, cool." So, and because after football season, they take a little while off, and
Yeah.
there's not really a thing. Some of the guys wrestle, some of the guys play basketball. So, it's a couple months where there's not really anything going on. And my dad's like, "Well, if you're not going to do anything else, what do you think about getting into lifting?" And he was always very adamant about not pushing me into anything, because he played football in Norfolk, and I went to a Virginia Beach school, and he said, "I want you to play because you want to play. Don't go play because I played, or
So you
or
never
you
felt
think I
pressure
want
to
you
do
to."
any of this thing?
No.
During the teenage,
Yeah,
coming up,
yeah.
okay.
My dad was very supportive, but was always very adamant about not making sure I knew that, I wasn't being forced to do it.
Okay. So you chose this at the end of the day. Right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So, we went and met up with a gentleman named Chris Wilkes, and it doesn't take long if you know anything about Olympic weightlifting to know his son Kane Wilkes, who I think Kane is either been to the Olympics twice or will be going to the Olympics the second time. I mean, he's very, very accomplished super heavyweight Olympic lifter.
Okay.
I think he's clean and jerked like 523 and snatched in the upper fours.
Yes, sir.
Very strong, very good Olympic lifter. And in the weightlifting world, that's kind of my claim to fame. People are like, "Oh, you Olympic lift." People who know Olympic lifting, I'm like,
Wait, so you've
well,
done Olympic lifting as well?
Yeah.
So you've had your hand in the pot in Olympic lifting, strongman,
Yeah.
and oh shit.
Yeah,
Okay.
so-
Okay.
I started Olympic lifting,
Okay.
and Olympic lifting, it takes a while to learn and to get decent at it, but in doing that, you develop a lot of speed, a lot of fast twitch muscle development, a lot of explosion, and it took me from being one of the last 4 or 5 linemen to cross the line during sprints to being one of the first 2 or 3, my sophomore year, and I went from being kickoff return just to get on the field, like, put this kid on the field, put him out there, to my sophomore year. The only time I came off the field was for kickoff return.
Okay.
I was starting center, long snapper. I was on the kickoff team, defensive end, defensive tackle. I moved around a little bit.
So I've always asked my guests this, and maybe but you have a athletics slash sports background. So out of all the regimes that you've done between sports, strongman, powerlifting, or lifting, what was the hardest regime you've trained? I always ask this when I find out people have a sport background.
Probably Olympic lifting for sure.
Out of everything, including the sport oriented training.
Yeah, because Olympic lifting to be good at, and I was never good at.
Okay.
I mean, I competed in USAW school age competition, but I mean, football's hard, but it's, as a lineman, it's not that technical. I mean, and the game as a whole is very technical, but being an offensive high school lineman is not that technical. And to be honest with you, I wasn't a very good lineman. I just happened to be, one of the top 5, so I got, to be the starting 5, lineman.
I got you.
But it's kind of funny now because I think actually now I'm one of the biggest out of the starting 5. Back then I was by far the smallest, by probably 40 pounds to the next guy up. But yeah, so football got me into Olympic lifting. Olympic lifting got me into, training for football got me into competing in Olympic lifting. Competing in Olympic lifting, I mean, and that squatting, overhead pressing, and growing up, me and my dad would watch Metrics. Back then, it was the Metrics World's Strongest Man on. It would come on ESPN,
Okay.
and anytime we would see it come on TV, I'd watch it just about every time.
So please give me a guide on. So what did that consist of? I guess if that makes sense. Like what did you watch? Did you see like deadlifts, bench presses?
Yeah, so back then it's the early 2000s. Some of the name Derek Poundstone. A little bit before him, O.D. Wilson. I think O.D. was in the late 90s. Magnus Samuelson. This back then, and I think Bill Kazmaier might even still announce for some of them. But back then, Bill Kazmaier, who was, very, very accomplished in powerlifting and strongman both, and I think was the first one to win World's Strongest Man 3 times.
Okay.
He was the guy who would interview the competitors after the events. Like, hey, what did you think about so and so, or what was, he would interview the guys after the events, after the wins.
Childish question, but not like so. Back then, like were these also the individuals that were like pulling the tow trucks or whatever with the?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah, so world's strongest man. Yeah, I mean, it was wide open. I mean, they would pull. I think back then they pulled a was it C-130? I think for one of them.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean it's.
So seeing that is what made you wanted to transition away from Olympic lifting into, and I'm not saying all three of those are like phenomenal, but like seeing stuff like that made you want to transition from Olympic lifting into strongman and powerlifting?
I never really sought out strongman.
Okay.
I wouldn't really say. I got very, very fortunate, and so played football through high school, Olympic lifted, blah blah blah. Graduated high school in 2006, and then from 2000, I lifted a little bit, but you get out of high school, you start working full time.
Yeah. Life.
Yeah. I got a full time job. I didn't go to college or anything. I got into the apprenticeship to be a crane operator.
Yes, sir.
And I just you grow up a little bit. You got to navigate your own way.
Okay.
But I still live with my parents. I still have my stuff. I would lift a little bit here and there for a little while. But there was about probably 2009, 2007. I lifted some. I'd say it probably ran out of gas in 2007. Go to 2008, 2009. To the end of 2009. I got a new job, and my foreman that I worked with, shout out to Tony if you see this video, had raced BMX. His doctor was like, "Look, motherfucker, you got to do something, or you need to your heart's not in great shape. You need to find something you love to do and be super active." So he got real into racing BMX.
Okay.
So, kind of funny story, gets back to BMX kind of sort of.
Yes, sir.
But he was into racing BMX and he kind of retired from that not long before I got working with him. And he had started going to a gym. He lives in Gates County, North Carolina.
Okay.
So he goes to a gym out in Suffolk on the way home. And hearing this dude talk about lifting every day, and I'm just like, damn it, I used to, and I've never been like one of those. Back in my day, I probably talk about football, like the neighborhood, old man. Oh, back in my day, but I think we're all kind of guilty of that as men. We tend to embellish things a little bit. But
I feel like
in your own story, you're 10 foot tall and bulletproof. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel we you hit it right on. Yes, sir. Yeah.
So. Honestly, I was just like, man, him going to the gym was just kind of like, come on, you fat ass, like, stop being so lazy. And we were blessed to have a sweet gym called Brute Strength Gym in Norfolk, and they had been open a few years. And I actually found out that the company I still work for back then, they would pay half of a gym membership. So if you sign up for your contract, it was half of your membership they would pay up to like $250.
Okay.
And so I was like, shit, I could use a little couple extra bucks, and I'll sign up for the gym. Took my contract, got my, I think it was like $240. They,
Okay.
like add it onto your check or give you a check or whatever. But they kind of like pay half of it up front. And so this was September 2010. I got back into lifting, like I said, at Bruce String Gym. And so that was September 2010. October they had a powerlifting meet there, and that was the first time I had been exposed to any kind of powerlifting. And I went and asked Stella, the manager, and I didn't know my way around anything really. And they had a monolift similar to this one, but I kind of looked at that as like you had to earn your right to squat in the monolift.
So,
And
if I may ask, since you had a background in Olympic lifting, and I'm pretty sure it's going to transition into the story, was that a hard adjustment for you? Because those compound lifts are different than the compound lifts you have to do in powerlifting.
So when I first started at Brute, I kind of went with what I knew.
Okay.
I front squatted a lot. Like I didn't have a coach for the first few years I was there. I just kind of stuck with some of my old workouts that my Olympic coach had given me. And
Sounds like they worked for you then if you didn't.
yeah, I mean, like I said, it was a lot of front squats, a lot of push jerks, and so that type of training carries over really well into
To powerlifting.
into strongman.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, so they had a powerlifting meet that October, and so Stella, who was the manager, and she didn't really know me from nothing, and I was like, hey, actually, no, I take that back. The very first thing they had there, I'd been there a couple of weeks, and they had this St. Jude, like benefit. It was guys who were, I don't know if they were all considered pros. They might have all been considered pro strongman, but it was a team event where it was like they would put, I think it was 5 teams of 2 guys, and so the events were set up to be like team events, like a relay race kind of thing. Like,
Gotcha.
you do the yoke carry down and back, and then I'll do the farmer's carry down and back, or you know what I mean? It kind of in that way. And then so it was like 5 events, and the last event was stones. So it was like a 10-stone run, right, from a 60-inch platform all the way around to 48, and then I think it was like 4 stones or 5 stones to 48 inches, then 44.
Fire, weren't they?
Yeah, and so these guys, I mean, and it was pretty wild because, these guys were like I mean, they were strong as shit. Not everybody was real big guys. I remember Tom Mutafis. Tom's, a short fella, but he was tough. He was real good at some of those events. But he was kind of the short guy out of the crew. And one of my very, very good friends, Mark Kimner, who his son trains here, and Mark trains here occasionally. He's got the sheriff's department's got a weird schedule. But I kind of meet all these guys and watch them go through this competition. I was like, this shit's pretty cool, And before that, I hadn't really messed with any of the strongman stuff. But one of the events, and it's funny, Mark likes to tell the story, because one of the events was a frame carry, and it's this gnarly, big, wide, just fixed frame carry.
The long bar or actual whole frame?
Well, it's like a farmer's carry, but it's fixed. So you've got crossbars. It's just a big, you kind of stand in it.
Okay.
And empty, this thing was like 500 pounds. And,
With no weight on it?
Yeah. And
shit,
so I'm in there with like camo cargo shorts, and I didn't have a Brute t-shirt at the time, and it was kind of hot, but I had bought a Brute hoodie. And so I like got my hoodie on all day. I'm like burning up, but I'm like, I got the gym like shirt. I don't want to just being a 20, or I was 23 back then.
That was a good
But just
sweat
kind
session,
of,
huh?
yeah, and I was just like, I don't want to take it off because then like nobody's gonna know I'm, stupid shit looking back. But so I got this hoodie on, and I was like, Stella, where does this frame go? And there used to be this big, it was like a big, I forget the dude's name who drew it, but it's like a 10-foot tall, big, we call it the Brute guy. So he was like doing a farmer's carry, and the farmer's carry said brute strength, like on, just a big wall art thing. They had, like, it was like plywood. And she said, well, just put it in front of the brute wall. And so I just grabbed this thing, pick it up, walk over there and set it down. And Mark says, he looks at Stella and goes, who the fuck is that?
So you picking up
she's like-
some 500 pounds empty that just they
Yeah, I
just
just picked it up and carried it over and set it down. I mean, because those guys, they was loaded with more weight.
Okay.
But just just for this guy that nobody knows, to just grab 500 pounds and just walk over there and set it down. She was like, who is this? She was like, oh, that's Chad. He joined here a month or two ago or whatever. He's like, I'm okay. But like back then, kind of put him on notice. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't just some other dude. Like, I kind of took lifting serious, and I like to think I was kind of strong.
He was one of those silent killers, I'd imagine. Yeah,
but,
yeah, I'm sorry. Anyway, yeah.
So after that, it was a couple weeks later, they had a powerlifting meet. And I was like, hey, Stella, I was like, y'all need help with that powerlifting meet. She was like, oh, hell yeah. So she said, we, sign on this sheet, put down what size t-shirt you want, and you'll get one of the competition t-shirts. And so I signed up and I helped with that powerlifting meet. That was my first time being exposed. Grab a chair, Fishy. That was my first time being exposed to actual competition, sanctioned powerlifting.
Do you remember your numbers for that meet, sir?
So I didn't compete in that one either. I just I was pretty much, I'm the new guy. I'm gonna have to, I kind of got to prove myself type thing. And I was on the platform and I missed 2 lifts the entire day. So like I was on the spotting, loading, for this whole thing, for this long day, and was just absolutely blasted by the end of the day.
Come on in. How's it going, brother?
Good, man. How you doing?
You're good. You haven't missed much. I appreciate that.
Good. Absolutely, man.
I'm just rambling about shit, and, getting in the
Plug it
lifting.
anywhere. You can plug it on the chain, the shirt, as long as it's close to your mouth and the audience can hear you, then you're good to go. And we're all being, keep it kind of tight, but anyway. So, my bad. So,
So yeah, I was spot and load for this entire powerlifting meet, like a 10-hour day, long day. But that was October, because I remember the shirt was this bright, like blaze orange shirt. October, kind of getting into hunting season, they went with the blaze orange, and it's like the state of Virginia. And there's this jack dude deadlifting, and his arms actually are like ripped off. So like there's like blood coming out of his elbows, and like his arms are ripped off. And but it was just funny because I wish I knew what happened to that shirt. I think I gave it to Derek, and I never saw it again. But not that it would fit. I think that was a 2XL back then. But
if I may ask this, since we're on the subject, and with the vast knowledge that you have in all three, so like, what are some of the misconceptions you think people who haven't competed or don't know, may have about strongman and powerlifting? I'll tell you right now, I thought it was all the same. You guys do way more compound lifts. No disrespect to any other sport, I'll say that right now, but you guys do way more like in powerlifting is just 3. But in strongman, it's vast.
They come up with new stuff every year.
Really?
Yeah. There's new events coming out all the time.
They just did like a wrecking ball hold.
Why is that, out of curiosity?
Because it's a show.
It's entertainment. It's like
It's just as because anybody can load, 500 pounds on a barbell and pick it up.
Okay.
That's not but so entertaining. It's entertaining to people who do it and they know what it takes.
Okay.
But the average Joe, anybody who's sitting at home watching TV, they see a powerlifting meet on TV. It doesn't mean anything to them.
Okay.
Because nobody knows
like
if you've
golf.
never lifted. Yeah, if you've never lifted 500 pounds, you don't know what that feels like.
Okay.
Now you take a beer keg, right? Some people know what a beer keg feels like. So then you start stacking beer kegs on something. Or people say, well, a car, you drive a car down the road. Cars are, you got to jack those up with a hydraulic jack if you want to change a tire. Well, then you back that car up on a frame and you grab handles and you start picking the back end of that car up off the ground. It makes that more relatable for the average person. They're like, there's no way I could ever, these are animals, it's.
Well, no, so the only reason I asked, and I did ask a strongman this, but it was kind of like a shout out deal. But a lot of people can't convert from powerlifting to strongman, can they? Because of the fit. Make it make sense. The demands for strongman, they're a little bit different because again, it's just 3 compound lifts versus again the bass. So a lot of people.
Oh, good.
So would you say a lot of people cannot convert because again, if they're so used to just doing 3 compound lifts versus like, you know.
I would say, and I think Fish can attest to this, as people who, he and I both will kind of dabble in strongman every so often. He more so than I. And he's competed a lot more recently in strongman than I have. But in powerlifting, you have a tendency to, and I don't know if complacent is the word, but you lose conditioning to the stressors of strongman because powerlifting is very, very, very controlled. Your plates are calibrated, so it's always going to be even from one side to the other. The bars are very good. The racks are adjusted exactly to your height. The benches are adjusted exactly to your height. You know, all these things. Where strongman, it's not a knurled bar. It's sometimes it's a slick bar. Sometimes it's a 2-inch thick axle. Sometimes you might be grabbing a concrete ball that may or may not have good tack, may or may not have good grip. You might be lifting in a parking lot that's not level, that's not nice and smooth. That's there's all these things where we've got a sweet lane here, but some gyms don't have an indoor strongman area. Some gyms you're outside in the parking lot, and parking lots are not flat. They're graded, so rainwater drains from the parking lot. So you're doing these things. You might be carrying a 700 or 800 pound yoke through a parking lot where your left foot is actually, if you were to stand level, you're actually low on one side. So just because you can squat 800 pounds doesn't mean you can take a yoke and literally run with it through a parking lot. Where I've seen guys who, good Lord, if they hit depth with a 500 pound squat, they probably blow their knees out. But they get underneath a 700 pound yoke and can absolutely fly with it.
Really?
It's just how you adapt to the stressors. And so I would say, more often than not, I would say probably more competitors go from strongman, and this is purely, this is not factually cited or anything, but I would say you probably have more people go from strongman to powerlifting
Than powerlifting to
because
strongman.
you can kind of get beat up and your body can take some abuse from strongman, and then you can kind of fall back to powerlifting, which is kind of what I did, but not for that reason. So I kind of just made it my mind that I just wanted to get stronger. I was like, you can only get so good at events, and you're only going to get so strong doing strongman events. And I just kind of wanted to re-gear my training, and I said, look, I'm going to kind of put strongman events training kind of on the back burner. I just want to focus on getting stronger for a while. And I forget exactly how I got into it, but I was like, you know what? I'm starting to get kind of strong. I want to do a powerlifting meet. So I signed up for a powerlifting meet and kind of bounced back and forth for, I don't know, maybe 2 years. Qualified, went to Strongman Nationals in 2016 in Louisville. Right after I met my wife, that was kind of our first. We went to Raleigh. I did a powerlifting meet,
Hey,
and then we went. Yeah, then we went back to Raleigh and did a strongman meet, or what was that? What's his name? Gym? The one where we did the one out behind the gym where we met Road Warrior Animal.
Oh yeah.
Randomly, they was there for a little local wrestling thing, but yeah, shout out to the Road Warriors, the OG
I think they're dead.
professional wrestlers. I don't know if Animal passed or not, or I think Animal passed, and I forget. Either way, yeah, old school professional wrestling. That's a whole another story. But qualified for nationals, and then we just kind of started the road trip. We went to a powerlifting meet down there, went to a strongman meet down there, qualified for nationals. I think we went with 6 or 7 people, and every one of us qualified for nationals. So we went to strongman nationals in Louisville, and and I'll tell anybody, she's a better strength athlete than I am. She missed overall heavyweight female by half a point. It was 85 to 85 and a half.
Okay.
And at strongman nationals, I was like,
What the fuck?
maybe middle of the pack at best. You know what I mean?
Can I ask you a quick question on judging? So again, a little disdain for bodybuilding, not the bodybuilder, but bodybuilding. do you feel like, and I'm starting to learn certain things about judging in powerlifting.
Yeah.
Do you feel like there could be a bit of bias, regardless of what the
100%.
okay, and bias in strongman?
100%, yeah.
So, from your perspective, like what have you seen, or why do you say 100%?
So more so in geared powerlifting,
Mm-hmm.
and depending on who sees this, I'll probably get some death threats. But some guys, especially in geared powerlifting, and don't get me wrong, I love geared powerlifting. I've never competed in it, but I've messed around in a squat suit, and I've been sure, and I've trained a little bit in it, but I've never taken it really seriously. It's just something that's always kind of it's you get an itch, you scratch it every so often, you know. But some guys in equipped powerlifting will they'll own a gym, or they'll all go to the same gym. They'll have this federation come. Their buddies are all local judges, and you'll get some.
Oh,
Can you say back? Oh, you get some giraffe pussy squats.
it's not that, but it's just like the fact that but it's just I didn't. From what I've been told by other competitors, they haven't faced that type of bias, but it's just like it. How can you be in cahoots with somebody, and at the end of the day, strength is strength? You can't take away from what somebody squatted, benched, or deadlift.
Yeah, so you can't, but it's the bias is going to be in the judging.
Yeah.
Right. So calling high squats good. Equip benching, or any benching, you're supposed to come down, stop on your chest, show control of the bar, then you get a press command. And I've seen with my own two eyes, as soon as the bar, even grazes their chest, they get their press. So it's like
there's no pause or anything.
no,
Oh, wow.
and it's not necessarily supposed
Like
to be
a touch and go.
It's not necessarily supposed to be a pause,
Uh-huh.
but it's just as soon as because benching in a shirt it's incredibly hard.
Okay.
And it's your face feels like a sponge, and you'll be dry, and you lay down, and it's like you're just pushing moisture out from your skin with the pressure that you feel in geared powerlifting. It's crazy. But honestly, one reason I love it is because deadlifts, powerlifting and deadlifts, you either pick it up or you don't.
Okay.
There's no
Yes,
there's
y'all
no
heard
judging.
that, Jules. Yeah.
There's no judging depth like on a squat. There's no quick press command. A good deadlift is a good deadlift is a good deadlift, and deadlift. You get strongmen, you get powerlifters. They'll use their straps or whatever. And shout out to Benny Magnuson. You'll probably never see this, but not that it matters coming from me, but he deadlifted 1,015 pounds at the Ronnie Coleman Classic in like 2010, and just ripped it off the floor barehanded, wearing nothing but a belt.
Okay.
It draws on, but short T-shirt and a belt. He didn't have straps. There was no suit, and just rips 1,015, holds it, kind of like talks shit, and then sets it back down. Where like Eddie Hall pulled 500 kilos or whatever it was, but he had straps and a suit and all this shit, and like you can't really compare one to the other, but at the same time you can. Benny could have done it if he had all that. You don't know that, because he never did it. So you can never say this would have happened, because if it didn't, it didn't.
Allow me to ask this. So I feel like there's not popularity, because at the end of the day, social media kind of brought a light to everything. So powerlifting is starting to be a thing. Strongman is starting to be a thing. But as a competitor, for both, but like, does it kind of irk you or annoy you that people know more about powerlifting competitors than strongman? The only reason, so like I said, only people, when I think of strongman, there's only two figures I think of Shaw and Hall. But there's
Or the mountain.
yeah. But
Thor,
but there's way more competitors than that. Do you feel like it's sad that that's probably the only representation that strong, as of now, from my perspective, that strongman gets, or
So you think strongman isn't getting the love it should?
I'm not going to say that. I can only,
Because when was the last time you ever seen powerlifting on cable TV? You've never seen it.
oh wow, okay, that's okay.
Same thing.
Curveball.
Touche. Okay. Okay. Well, no. So, but the only reason I asked that is because, again, it's kind of like prime example, like certain workouts are like that have been around for the longest.
Okay.
Reverse grip, Zetcher squats, and like there's another one dealing with that right there. I don't know what that bar is
Safety
called.
bar?
Yeah, so there are certain things that are coming to light, but if you talk to people who've been in the game for a minute, these regimes, workouts, competitors, whatever have been here for the longest. It's just
Yeah.
like it seems like that because of social media, they're starting to get a light on it. But that's why I asked in that format, if that makes sense, sir.
Yeah. I think it's over time you kind of have to close one chapter and open another one.
Okay.
And I feel like you made a religious reference earlier.
Yes, sir.
So you have BC and AD, where I feel like in powerlifting, strongman, and lifting in general, you kind of have before social media, after social media,
Yes,
or
sir.
you have. And as much as I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of CrossFit, and I think it's probably because I know what I know about Olympic lifting and how they use Olympic lifting. Olympic lifting was never meant to be done for reps the way it is in CrossFit, and that's just kind of been my only kind of like dig at CrossFit is you're taking something that was never meant to be done like that, and you're blowing out people's shoulders. And either way, not to get off on a tangent, but I truly believe CrossFit saved the barbell.
Okay.
Because before CrossFit and before you get all these little box gyms, they call them, all you had was gyms that had stuff like that, all those machines.
Okay.
I feel like platforms and barbells were kind of becoming a relic of the past before CrossFit. And, you go into Planet Fitness, there's, or even, a lot of these gyms, and that's not a shot at Planet Fitness. I mean, because it has nothing to do with the gym and the equipment. It has to do with the mindset of the person going. So there's an ass for every seat, and there's some people who have had life-changing workouts begin because of Planet Fitness. So that's not. We all kind of hate on Planet Fat Ass, but the pizza days and the Tootsie
cereals
Rolls,
and sitting down,
but there's a reason they're successful, and you can go in there, dude. I've gotten a good workout at Planet Fitness at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
It's cheap. I've had a membership there for like 6 years because it's $20 a month and it's a pain in the ass to cancel. But when I go out of town, I'm like, hey, I still got that Planet Fitness, so I'll download the app and I'll go work out for free. You still pay for it. At this point, I'm probably paying $100 an hour for the amount of membership that I've paid for, but versus what I've used. But it's there's an ass for every seat, and like I said, before CrossFit, gyms were getting away from barbells because of the safety aspect, and CrossFit got very popular, and it really drove a lot of people back to the barbell.
Okay. Why do you think
and here
maybe
we
they
are.
didn't like what they saw? I'm gonna shut up. Anyway, yeah. So before I do pass the torch real quick, allow me to ask this because you've definitely seen both sides as a competitor and as a facilitator. So for you, which one, not necessarily was harder, but which one did you more enjoy, for being the competitor or being the guy in charge of the events?
Oh, dude, it's much, and I think he'll agree with me on this. It's so rewarding and fulfilling, and just like we opened this place May 3rd, and then on May 20th or 20. It was 3 weeks to the day. 3 weeks later on a Saturday, the PSL, the Pro Strongman League.
Yes, sir.
Shout out to Tyler and Abby. But they had a 2-day event that started down at the oceanfront, and it was they went through Friday. Everything ran beautifully down there. Saturday morning it was pouring down rain, and me and him are in here we're doing Wi-Fi tests and all this stuff, and because they have this huge production crew that goes with them, and they're we're looking at it, we're like, last minute pull the trigger, we jump in my truck, haul ass to my house, get my trailer, and we're loading stuff up on trucks, and we brought the PSL show here 3 weeks to the day after we opened up, and watching that happen, the boxers, none of their stuff was up there, and I had a couch from my house up there, and I went and grabbed it and slid it over to the corner before we had the lattice and the handrail was redone. And I'm sitting up there on the couch, and dude, it's just like your soul is smiling.
Okay.
You know, to know you're a part of taking a warehouse that, you know, 2 months ago was full of Lime scooters and bicycles.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Without the people, it's just a warehouse full of shit.
Okay.
And you know, it's essentially a big building full of scrap metal without people to use it. So, you know, you become a part of this, and you see people who are timid and who come to the gym and have to like sit in their car and build up the courage to walk in the doors, to being people who they build self-confidence and they build this self-awareness, and they come in, they're lifting, and they're taking, you know, their nutrition more seriously. You know, they're building self-confidence, they're getting in shape, and then they're like, I couldn't get on the platform, I couldn't do this, and then they finally do one, and then you see these people, and none of this can be purchased. You know, you can't purchase the work. You just there's no shortcut to getting.
Jules, you cannot purchase the. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
But you know, there's no shortcut. So you know, everybody who's squatted 500 pounds, they all did the work to get to a 500-pound squat. You know, everybody who's competed, they've all done the work to prepare to be on the platform. And whether you're 115-pound woman, whatever the weight class is, whether you're a 115-pound woman squatting, you know, 200 pounds, or you're a 350-pound dude squatting 1,000. You know, Eddie Hall, somebody asked Eddie Hall, and they're like, what does it feel like to squat 800 pounds? He's like, well, what's your max squat? The guy's like 355. He said, well, when I squatted 800 pounds, it felt the same way that 355 pounds feels to you. A max lift is a max lift.
Okay.
You know, a grinder is a grinder. It doesn't matter if you're grinding with 100 pounds or 1,000 pounds. So, you know I kind of got off on a little bit of a tangent, but running meets and organizing meets, I mean, pulling a PR deadlift and going 9 for 9 at the end of a powerlifting meet is a crazy feeling. I pulled 700 pounds at the end of a powerlifting meet down in Fort Lauderdale, and I had attempted a 700-pound deadlift on my third attempt deadlift, like 3 powerlifting meets in a row.
Okay.
And I finally got it.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
And it was actually a 699.96 because the way kilos convert.
Yeah.
I always say, oh, well, actually 700 pounds.
Yeah, around it, yeah.
You know, but
yeah.
yeah, dude, it's way more fulfilling and way more rewarding to run a meet, and dude, to even, you know, to be on the lease of a building that you pull up
crazy.
and you see
Yeah.
25 people in here, and you see some friends of ours, that are, they bring their son here, and they were actually here earlier today. We've actually got this little like playpen thing you kind of like put up, and yeah, shit, it took me probably 3 or 4 months to get him to kind of like, like I'd pick him up and he'd bawl crying, and like now he'll come in and he'll be playing with his little trucks, and Hudson, come on, and I'll reach and he'll, and like, and I'll hang out with him, and his parents are here lifting, and like, dude, there's nothing in the world like it.
Very rewarding. Very rewarding.
It's incredibly rewarding, and it's, the reward is well worth the risk. And you bite off a ton of risk.
Yeah.
Signing a lease for a building, go broke on your fucking life savings buying equipment out of pocket. And, then you come into this place and you just hope people like it.
We're going to touch on something towards the end because I feel like this question would apply to both of you. And I literally thought of it but I'm going to save this towards the end. Thank you for that perspective. We're going to bring it back full circle. But with that being said, let me shake your hand again.
Absolutely.
So another introduction, but again, just like him, great energy. So most people who know me, they know my communication skills. They just suck. Up in here, the heart starts pounding, and you just want to. There's 1,000 words going up here, and then when you try to communicate that. But when I first came through town, and I lucked out because I was just driving. I had Googled a powerlifting gym. You guys are actually at the top when you type. But anyway, it said Southside Barbell. Called the number. Communication was on point, and the energy was on point. Very inviting, and again. You guys allowed me to use this facility for free, and then you even told me, hey, there's a strongman meet tomorrow. And that was my first time ever actually witnessing a strongman meet. I've been to plenty of powerlifting meets, been to, seen a lot of friends and associates get on stage, but watching that, you opened the door for me. Southside Barbell opened the door for me, and at the time, obviously, I couldn't do this sit down because, you know, y'all was everywhere. I'm pretty sure, but we don't give a fuck about an interview right now. But anyway, I wanted to return that kindness and just, you know, bring perspective to my channel. So with that being said, sir, again, thank you for that kindness. To my audience, go ahead and introduce yourself. After you introduce yourself, that's what, just like with him, that's where the questions just flow.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
My name is Jacob Fisher. I'm a co-owner of Southside Barbell from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I was an FMF corpsman, and now I'm a gym owner. And I have a great time doing it and a competitive athlete.
Is it just strongman you've done? Have you done any powerlifting meets or any other like
Yes. So I've done power. I started out strongman, transitioned to powerlifting.
Yes, sir.
Then went to bodybuilding.
Yes, sir.
And back to strongman right now.
Okay.
And now I'm in the process of going back into bodybuilding right now.
So what got you into the aspect of fitness? Was it because you were in the Corps? You know, it was.
I wrestled in college.
Okay.
In all throughout high school, did a little college wrestling, and college wasn't for me. Ended up dropping out, and then went to the Navy, and then was training for a Navy wrestling team. And I just, like you said, I Googled strength gyms, and there was a gym that we used to go to. I went to, and
I name dropped it. I talked about it.
So we went to Brute Strength Gym, and then from there, I wasn't able to go to make the team because of my job. And in the Navy, when you play Navy sports, it's different than like the Marine Corps or like the Air Force or Army. That's like their billet or their MOS. But with the Navy, you have to ask every year. And but I had to deploy because of my job, so I wasn't able to go. So I was like, whatever. I'm getting too old for this wrestling. And I seen these guys. One now who's one of my best friends, Mark Kimner. He was doing some stones and stuff over there one day, and I'm like, let me just try this. And I walked up and just asked him, and I probably soaking wet was a buck 145 pounds, because in college I wrestled 133, and I was tiny. It was like, and that's how it all began. And then I just started.
You ever seen the movie Men in Black?
Yes, which one?
You remember the little guys knocking the coffee over, hauling the cigarettes around on the hand truck?
The cockroach.
Yeah, that's what he looked like.
Allow me to ask this, because I did ask him this. So out of all the regimes you've done, you know, so wrestling, which is sport oriented, strongman power, what was the hardest regime you've trained?
Wrestling.
110%.
Nothing harder than that.
So if you don't mind me asking, from your perspective, why was wrestling harder out of all the training regimes you've done? More physically demanding?
Super physically demanding, mentally demanding. And when you did it like me back in the day, it was a wreck on your body and your health. Because we used to cut weight like sauna suits, spitting.
Teenage kids.
I'd be in class in junior high, spitting in cups and not eating lunch while everyone else is eating lunch, and running and running, rolling myself up in the mat and sleeping in there to lose weight.
So football for you, did you ever have to do that type of regime as well? I only thought of it because.
Oh no, we just ate.
Also, the bigger you were, it was more beneficial.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, as a lineman, yeah, they definitely want you to be bigger and stronger and just to eat.
So you lucked out then.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. But anyway, so wrestling was more physically demanding. So I'd imagine like that mental resiliency that you built up probably kind of like plays a big part into you as a competitor now, I'd imagine.
1,000%. I'll go till I'm dead. Like on a deadlift or pull, this is embarrassing, but I shit my pants deadlifting. Because I would rather pick it up and know I got it.
Yeah, I've
and
seen him
my
pass
pants
out and be asleep.
And get the deadlift rather than put it down and say, oh man, what if I could have got that? So I won't do it like a 405, but like on a max pull, absolutely.
So what do you like more between powerlifting and strongman? What do you like more?
I don't think I can answer that.
I like powerlifting when I'm on the platform, because the intensity that I get, I enjoy. It's more. I get more intense, but strongman's funner.
Yes.
There's more waiting around with the powerlifting, and I think, in my opinion, the community in strongman is there. We're all competitive with each other, but we're more willing to be like, yeah, man, let's go. Like pat your partner on the back. Like if me and him are competing at the same time, and I'm done, I'm gonna walk down the lane and make sure his ass gets down there too. You know what I mean?
So safe to assume both y'all favorite compound lift is the deadlift then?
Oh, mine, yes. Oh, mine used to be the squat.
Okay.
Mine used to be the squat.
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of like when you were saying, asking him about strongman versus powerlifting. It's kind of apples to oranges. I feel like there's no real opinion in a deadlift.
Okay.
When it comes to judging it, either you locked it out or you didn't.
Okay.
You know, the judgment call on a squat depth or something like that. But as far as my favorite lift, I mean, the risk of a deadlift, you know, you could tear a hamstring, pop a bicep or something.
Oh my God, yeah.
But you know, the risk of kind of flirting with disaster with, you know, putting close to 800 pounds on your back and squatting, it's once you kind of start to get scared is when the adrenaline kind of starts to pump. And there's deadlift don't do it for me like squat does. Getting underneath of a bar that can drive you in the ground like a nail. It can, I mean, there's, I don't know if there's been people who've done it, but I mean, I feel like a squat gone wrong could kill you.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
You know,
I think
there's
deadlift.
Catastrophic failure on a squat is way, way worse than catastrophic failure on a deadlift. I mean, I've literally
almost
seen
crippling, I'd imagine.
100. No, not
Deadlift's
almost.
not,
Very,
deadlift's
very
not
crippling.
scary. So it's not
Yeah,
like
I've seen
it's not adrenaline.
at the
based.
Arnold. I've seen a dude. I apologize if I butcher his name. A dude named Matthias. I want to say he was either 198 or 220. Took a 700-pound squat, and I was actually at the Arnold to wrap Kevin, the other owner. I was actually there wrapping his knees for him, and I had just wrapped his second knee, so he's sitting there with his legs locked out, and you know I finished wrapping his second knee, and I stand up, turn around, and he's going down with a squat, blows off both of his quads, and it folds him up right in the floor underneath of the monolift, and it took about 20 minutes for the EMTs to get him on a stretcher and take him out, and he had to get both quads reattached.
You posed two questions towards the end. Damn, I got you. So allow me to ask you. So you said that you enjoy strongman more than a powerlifting. So from just like I asked him, from your perspective, do you feel like a powerlifter could convert over to strongman easier than a strongman converting over to powerlifter?
100%. I do, because I wish that I did that. I started out doing strongman, learned tons of bad habits, hitched my deadlift, just terrible form.
Okay.
And then I was never winning. I was coming in second, because I was always smaller than everybody, and I would always get bumped up to the higher weight class. But I would still be competitive, but I could never win.
Okay.
I stopped for a little bit doing strongman. I went to powerlifting. I made a goal to win the Arnold within 2 years, and thanks to my coach Jeff Turner and these guys and my training partners, I did that. And the same with his wife, we did it at the same time. And yeah, we trained the same. And at 165, I squatted a world record at 635 at 165. And it put me 11th all time on the powerlifting watch list.
That was in Greenville, wasn't it?
No, I did that at the Arnold. I qualified for the Arnold in Greenville.
That's right.
I squatted a world record squat for RPS, which was 610.
That's right.
And then I squatted 635 at the Arnold.
Yeah.
And that's what he's talking about when I passed out. And my last deadlift, it was like 610 at the time. I went to go pull it. I got so hyped. I took a hit of ammonia, and I took too big of a hit of ammonia. And I went up there, and my adrenaline was going, and I pulled, and I just went boom, out cold, and I fell over.
You had to have been scared. I think I would have been like, oh shit.
They thought I was okay, so they picked me up, and they let me go, and I wasn't okay, and I fell back down. It was pretty funny though, but yeah. So it's hard to say. I mean, I like powerlifting and I like strongman, and I do think that you learn better form. Powerlifting, it will help you with your strongman, because like he said, You don't want to just burn yourself out on events because then you get good at events. You don't get any stronger. So I can squat 600 pounds, so I'm not worried about picking up a 600-pound yoke, which is heavy. I'm going to do a 400-pound yoke and work on my speed and my foot pace and all that stuff because I already know. Because throughout the week I'm squatting, benching, and deadlifting. I don't stop doing any of that. The only thing I do is switch out my bench for some more overhead pressing when I'm doing that. But I don't quit the big three pretty much all year, even training strongman.
I mean, they're pillars of strength.
Yeah, those are your foundations.
So same format I had asked him about the bias, you know. So from your perspective, do you feel like there's bias in strongman as well?
Yes, definitely for the men and the women. That's a huge, huge conflict and bias of men getting treated better and women having all women contests and men get mad, and then having all, like, you can't just have all men's contests because then women would get mad. So it's like
I
it's
feel like
real
if you had an
controversial.
all men's contest, nobody's gonna want to watch.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know if he told you, but we're actually the Virginia State reps for USS Strongman. So
I don't want to, again, I won't change the span of a sport, so both of y'all please forgive me. I'm asking because the question just came into the head, but ladies forgive me. But in this sport, whether it's powerlifting or strongman, do you feel like it's easier for the women than it is men? Because I've heard somebody say, like, it's easier to train women in strength training, regardless if it is powerlifting or strongman, than it is a dude. Would you guys be, you know, based on your knowledge base and what you've seen, would you guys be inclined to agree or no?
I don't really think in the strength sports. I mean,
think it's different.
It's different, yeah. But I think it's harder.
I think it's really hard to compare one to the other. To be honest with you, and that's not me ducking the question. I just think it's again kind of comparing apples to oranges. Yeah, it's a loaded question, and without like making a podcast on that one question, I feel that's just, and it's not even necessarily a debate. I would just say it's a very discussable subject.
I think
you know what I mean?
It's clearly harder in bodybuilding because you got to know the women's, you know, their dieting and all that stuff is blood work.
Women are very, very, very sensitive to diet, and traditionally
that can screw up their training.
Women don't have the caloric needs of men because, I mean, you or me, I can eat 3,800 calories a day and lose weight.
Okay.
So I've got a much bigger cushion to stay in a caloric deficit, where you take a woman who, her daily maintenance calories are 1,700. To be able to feed somebody on 1,700 calories and, not underfeed her so she feels like ass, but she's trying to get stronger, she's trying to maintain strength and cut weight. Like, you've got a very, very narrow window to play with there, where guys, we've naturally got a ton of testosterone in our body, and we're just more, I'd almost say we're more physically resilient and more adaptable, where women are going to be more sensitive.
Okay.
In more ways than one, but women, I think, are traditionally just going to be more sensitive. But dude, on the platform, I'd say that the drive of a competitive woman is unmatched.
Oh my! Yeah, I think their intensity is sometimes way more, especially at the professional level.
And I'll say that because I'm married to a very, very competitive woman.
Well, and we see it here every day with Jess and when her training, because she's.
But I mean, when you're married to a woman who takes lifting very seriously in competition, I mean, everything in her life she treats just about like a I mean, she's very good at what she does for work. She's very highly respected in her army stuff, and there ain't nothing she does where she's what I would consider mediocre. Like I told you, she sets her mind on being good at something. I'll have, I got a bunch of different hobbies, and I'm, I see something shiny and I want to go to that. Where she's very focused. She's very good at photography. And that's kind of her side gig / hobby. Something she loves to do, but she's very good at it. And But like I said, a competitive woman, the drive of a serious lifter, whether it be strongman or powerlifting, the drive of a competitive woman is unmatched with a lot of dudes. You know, there's
I'm glad I can ask this to other strong men now. So do you feel like injury is injury? Do y'all feel like people are probably more prone to injury competing in strongman than they would be powerlifting?
Yeah, because you're doing
Yeah,
things
there's a lot
that
of
are odd.
variables.
You're picking up weird stuff that maybe be uneven. You're dragging stuff. You could fall backwards. I seen the bag throws that they were doing. There was a girl not too long ago who was doing a bag throw, slipped and hit her back of her head and split her skull open.
Yeah, a lot of smash.
We've had
fingers.
guys have
Tendons broken, bone.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
tendonitis.
that show you were here. The guy was pushing the wheelbarrow and snapped his Achilles. It was some dude from Canada too, so he had to go home
Oh,
like
yeah.
that. Thanks for the cooler, by the way, you left here.
No, so and the only reason I ask, and I like how you said that there are many variables. So I think the worst I've ever seen at powerlifting, and injury is injury. I think the biggest comeback is you're injured knowing that you can't get injured in these compound lifts and still want to get on the platform. My hat goes off to anybody that does that. But anyway, the only reason I ask because since somebody is more prone to injury, like recovery time, do you feel like that also plays like into the psyche of the competitor? Like, all right, like I just smashed my finger or my rib or whatever doing this. Like, do I really want to weigh the risk and come back and compete in something like this since it is a detriment to me?
Vince, the guy at that contest you came to, his name was Vince. He, day one at the beach, we were doing frame carry. He slipped, fell, busted his face off of the frame.
Oh, yeah.
Went to the hospital after that. Got 7 stitches, came back and kicked ass the next day.
Really?
Yeah, people are crazy. Like that, if you're at this level and you're doing this sport and you get hurt, like Inez did at the Arnold, she smashed her face. I mean, and it was like horrible. And she still competed and finished the time. If you're at this level, you're here for a reason. It's like you do bodybuilding, right?
No. So, tidbit, I'll make it quick, but I don't bodybuild. Really glad you said that. But no, I don't bodybuild. I do want to get on the platform. The influences I'm around is powerlifting. I have, again, out of respect, I call him Mr. Dill, older than me, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But he's a strong man, and I've seen him compete, and it gave me a newfound respect for it. But actually watching it, that's why I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
So, but no, if I do decide to compete, it will be in powerlifting. But you were saying, sir?
Yeah, so at that level, you have to have that mentality, like that's how you get to that level. If you don't have that mentality, you're not going to be at that level to where
George
you're going to
Lehman,
go. Yeah.
Very good deadlifter and powerlifter, once said in a video, if you're just as happy peeling potatoes as you are deadlifting 800 pounds, you're going to peel potatoes, not deadlift 800 pounds. So
It's easy.
it takes a certain amount of drive, and I feel like some of the best athletes are people who have a dark place to go.
And that's
And there's a lot of power in that. There's things that I can't bring myself to talk about, but I will purposely think about
While you're,
before I go to lift.
He'll whisper in my ear.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's not a sweet nothing. It's okay.
I know things that really get him.
Okay.
And sometimes, and like I said, I have a hard time even getting the words out to talk about some things. So you've got to find something to do with that. And that's what I have to do with it. If I'm like, sometimes I'll get quiet and then people are like, oh, he's focused. I'm like, no, if I start speaking, I'm going to have tears coming out of my eyes. So I just keep to myself, and then I'll go headbutt the fucking wall, or, I'll fucking headbutt a squat bar and kind of turn it on, and it's me headbutting a squat bar or making a fist and hitting myself in the forehead. It's not a show for other people. Like, there's something about a little bit of pain that kind of gets you firing on all cylinders, and just kind of takes you there.
Yes, sir.
And then once the lift is over with, it's just kind of it's a release.
So allow me to ask that. Do you feel like with certain lifts, unfortunately, well, depending on, but do you feel like that's the only way, What you just explained kind of reminded me of something Kai Green had said about Ronnie Coleman. You know, dude took 800 pounds, you know, put it on his back. So let's assume that this guy isn't, you know, that's not a nice guy, you know. But I said all that to say this. Do you feel like something like that is needed to complete certain lifts, whether it is powerlifting?
It is for
or
me.
strongman? Okay.
I agree.
Some people can.
Keep going.
There's some people who they could lift, you know, a max attempt squat in here, right now.
Dennis Cordelius.
Yeah, I mean, there's people who are, you know, who can lift with no music.
I mean, that one is dying. It's flashing red. I want to make sure that I
He's
still
talking
touch it.
so much.
Nah.
Yeah, I've been here just running off at the mouth for an hour.
We made it to an hour already? No, let me
It's
stop.
9:45.
I apologize.
No, I got here late. I didn't.
Yeah, but yeah, there's some people who can do that, and I just can't. So.
I can only do that when I'm benching.
Yeah, I bench. I'm pretty
Calm.
chill when I bench. But squat and deadlift.
But it's a different, for me, it's a different mentality to deadlift than it is to squat. Because I can get absolutely insane, I feel, deadlifting, like the risk reward, like he was talking about thing. Because deadlift, you could pull a deadlift, and you don't got to be scared of the deadlift. Because you can either, like he said, you either pull it, or it doesn't come off the ground, or if you get it semi off the ground, it just it's going to pin you.
It falls out of your hand.
That can crush you. So
Allow me to say this.
that's the menti or psyche.
We're at an hour and 5, so I'll bring it to a closing.
Okay.
Obviously, this is my fault. I probably should have planned better with this. This is why I kind of like doing the podcasting because you guys obviously you have vast knowledge in this. So the 2 questions I have, and then hopefully with the vast knowledge you have, you guys will allow me to bring you back as returning guests when I come through.
Absolutely.
Hopefully my platform will be a lot bigger, and you know. Like, hey, that's RJ. You know, he goes to Southside Barbell. You know, but that's my. But anyway, so from a business standpoint, because again, so we just opened. Shout out to Carolina Performance, but we just opened another powerlifting gym in Fayetteville, North Carolina, that pretty much meets powerlifting needs, right? So there is a sacrifice that goes into this, like owning all of this, you know, certifications from the state. Meeting certain criteria, money, and all that. So did the business of it kind of take, not kind of, but do you believe the business aspect of it can kind of take away from your love of this, just in whole? Like again,
If you let it.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
If you let it. I think it depends on your drive for opening a place like this.
And how bad do you want it, and why? The reasoning behind it is a huge thing. And for us, I think I can speak for both of us. We want to make money, but it's the love of doing it. And like he said, the community and bringing the people in here, these people need it. Like they depend on us because they're all competitors. And this is a place where they feel comfortable and safe, where they can bring their kids. And that's where we, I think, get our joy, and that for me outweighs the business portion of it. But the business portion of it does get very fickle, and it's crazy, and you got to follow the rules.
It's necessary.
It's necessary.
It's necessary.
So we got to get a good group of people.
Yeah, with a good group of like-minded individuals, it's just part of it. You can't have one without the other. But yeah, I just the business part of it. You know,
Ben died, but we're good.
if you're opening a gym to make money,
You're in it for the
then-
wrong
well,
reason.
well,
Right
if
away, at
you-
least.
Yeah, if you open a gym with the goal of saying one day I want to have, locations across North Carolina. I want to have locations up the eastern seaboard. I want to have locations east of the Mississippi and cover, the eastern United States. Like, then go with that. Because if your drive, you say, I want to open this gym and I want this gym to do good so I can open another one. And I can have a network of the dude who started Planet Fitness. He didn't start with 4,000 locations.
Started with 1.
He probably started with 1, right?
Okay.
So, or he started with a business model and then took that model to investors and started off with, with what we put into 1, he might have put into 5. right? Hey, I'm going to open 5 of these gyms across Hampton Roads, the 7 cities. Or, I'm going to open 3 of these locations in Raleigh. And if they do good in Raleigh, then we'll put one in Fayetteville, and we'll put one in Jacksonville. And if the one in Jacksonville does good, maybe we'll open 2. So if that's your
Prerogative.
if that's what your goal is as a business owner, is to build a franchise or to build a chain of gyms, then go for it. But you're gonna go at it with a different mindset than a group of friends who want a badass training facility and who just want to
Build a
kind of
community.
not keep it smaller, but address like-minded individuals and bring something different to the table. So you're not going to go to Planet Fitness if you want to do Atlas stones. You're not going to go to Anytime Fitness or go to Crunch if you want to be a serious competitive powerlifter. You're not going to go to Crunch and expect them. I don't fucking know if they have certified or calibrated plates or not. But you know what I'm saying?
But you're not going to get the atmosphere
You're
neither.
going to go to a certain place to find a certain product. If you want to get your car painted and you want it to be a factory color, you go to the dealership. If you've got a classic car and you want to get a classic car painted, something off the wall, and then get crazy pinstriping, you're going to go find the dude, with the one-off shop who's, probably going to cuss at you. What the fuck do you want? What are you doing here? It's like, hang on, I was told to come see you by
X, Y, and
Jimmy.
Z, yeah.
Jimmy's, oh yeah, I know Jimmy, come on in. But if you want custom pinstripes, you're going to go to find that guy. If you want some sweet paint, if you want your car to look like a new car, then you take it to the dealer. Kind of similar with this. It's you go to the place that provides you the product that you want, and the product that we offer is this.
So
I don't consider it a product. I consider it an atmosphere.
Well, that's the product.
Yeah, but I don't like saying that because I like to say when you come in here, what is the thing that catches your attention? It's the atmosphere and it's the people and it's the willingness of everybody. Yeah.
But now let me, so
But you can't buy the vibe.
No, that's better. He can't buy the vibe.
message. Now let me stop. In closing question, and again, I'm gonna make this a reoccurring thing, and if not just with you guys, but even your guys' competitors that you can produce. So you guys opened up last year in May, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So what is your overall goal for Southside Barbell?
I think we're there.
Yeah.
Okay.
We wanted, I've always just kind of joked and be like, man, if this place gave me a check that I could pay for a pickup truck with, like buy a new truck, and this place paid the truck payment for me, that would be dope. But it's paying its own light bill, it's paying its own rent.
Okay.
And well, what more do you really want?
So you're satisfied?
I think with satisfaction comes complacency, and I wouldn't say I'm complacent.
Okay.
And I wouldn't say I'm satisfied because we can always do better. We can always get better. We can always offer our people more.
And if you're satisfied, then you're stuck.
Yeah, I think when you get satisfied, you're at the top of the hill, and the next step is to start going back down the opposite side of the hill.
You don't want that.
And if you're not growing, you're getting smaller.
And you can't be.
So
you got to grow with the times too. You can't be stuck in the 90s anymore.
Yeah, that's a loaded question. But am I happy with where we're at? Yes.
Safe to
am I
assume
happy
there might
with
be another location one day?
I think. I've actually had a few friends ask us if. She said, "Is there going to be one in Moyock?" And which is just across the Carolina line. I was like,
don't come down. I'm sorry.
But it would be cool to have another, or even if it wasn't Southside.
Southside Barbell Fayetteville. Oh my God, no the fuck they didn't. I'm sorry.
RIP to every other powerlifting gym in South.
Hey, that's my
Fayetteville,
tag, man. RP to me, baby.
We only got 2 of them.
Yeah,
Anyway, no,
but maybe there's a bigger building in our future. But right now where we're at, don't don't let looking at something else steal the joy of the moment.
Okay.
So
Rules. Anyway, yeah.
But appreciate where you're at, and don't lose sight of where you came from. So appreciate just like with powerlifting, if your goal is to one day deadlift 1,000 pounds, but you just did a meet and you hit a PR at 600 pounds, you're not going to be butthurt because you didn't hit 1,000 pounds. You still hit a PR. Yet you're still growing. So, be happy with where you're at in the moment and appreciate it and appreciate the hard work to get you where you're at. But keep your eyes on the ultimate goal, but realize there's stepping stones to cover in the process.
Closing thoughts you want to add to that?
No, I'm happy about where we're at. I love it. It just gets better and better each month, I believe, and it's just like you said, the people and the joy of running the shows here is much more joyful than doing them. I mean, I've been to the top, been to the bottom, but right here where we're at is where I want to be.
So, allow me to say this because I'll have more. May I borrow that because my mic?
Oh, absolutely.
So apologize, but I will say this because I'll have a lot more free time. He knows, I told him, but I'm going through transition from soldier, civilian, veteran now.
I've been there, brother.
Yeah,
You
but,
need any help, let me know. I can help you with the
but
VA.
again, just like I spoke on the kindness before, I just wanted to say this. If you guys have any events, as long as you guys tell me in advance, please let me know. Absolutely. And with my community and my channel, I'll do my best to promote that. There's a powerlifting competition I'm going to in Cary, North Carolina next weekend, and there's another powerlifting. But I want to expand. I also do a lot of traveling anyway. I was more on the South last year. I'm trying to check out some powerlifting gyms on the East and West Coast as well. But I'll say this. Based on what I see and what I saw before, just, I feel like a community speaks a lot. I feel like it says a lot about someone's character when somebody, when you ask, hey, what are your thoughts on Southside Barbell? In the positive way, hey, and they say, hey, they do a lot for us in their community. I feel like that says a lot about the individuals. So, again, I see what you guys are doing, and I see what you guys are offering. Again, I'm not from here, but, again, you guys have that inviting energy about y'all. So I have no doubt that it's probably going to, branch off to everybody else. And that's why I asked if you wanted to build another gym, because I see one or two more locations,
Yeah.
So.
Well, and none of us, and speak for him here too, I think, it took a team of us to do this. And
And it wasn't just the owners.
Yeah. I mean, it was truly a team of people.
Yes.
It was a team of us that came together as the ownership entity. But it took people who are very good friends. Who, if you look in there on the wall, there's what's called plank members up in the front. They're like cornerstones in the effort to build this place. And people who were just normal members who. The water heater upstairs ruptured, and I actually drove home I was down at Cherry Point.
I got a call at 12 at
and,
night.
So he hits me up, and I'm just like, holy shit. So I've been asleep 2 hours, and I wake up and come up here, and I walk in the back door, and there's 3 members down here with mop buckets, and one of them had already turned off the main water, so the water would quit rushing out of the water heater. And, I mean, they had it 75% of the way cleaned up by the time I got here. And
took a load off, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I mean, without that,
we would never known, and
you
would
can't,
ruined the floor.
There's no recruiting that. There's no, those people just do what they do because of the effort you put in reciprocating that.
Because, like you said, you ain't gonna get nobody at Planet Fitness calling a worker at home at Planet Fitness saying, "Hey, man, your toilet's leaking." They're just gonna shit, I ain't gonna use this one and walk to the next one.
Yeah, I mean, without a tribe, an Indian, a chief ain't a chief. You know what I mean? So
Jules, yeah.
So you can't have one without the other, and we, without the membership and without their hard work and their dedication to bettering their own lives, this place is meaningless.
And most importantly, the big man upstairs, because if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have any of this, and if he wouldn't have blessed us, we would not be here. So
I swear it's divine
it
intervention
is.
that's made the stars align to make
it
this
is
happen.
God, and God is good. So
Because there's
that is
plenty of reasons
the
that
most
this
important
shouldn't
thing.
have
The whole interview, probably.
happened.
So
Yeah, there's plenty of reasons that this should have never
that's why we're
happened.
here.
And for whatever reason, the dominoes keep falling in the right order, and it just works.
Yes, it's just
Good things happen to good people.
for example,
and, I'll pat him on the back because I don't believe you should pat yourself. But good things happen to good people who do the right things
And
for the
like
right
the
reason and with a
community.
pure heart and a pure soul. So, you know, you treat people right and it comes full circle.
Just
so.
for an example, just recently we were about to purchase mirrors for the bodybuilding
for the
room.
posing room.
For
Came a long way, by the way.
and they were so expensive.
Over $1,000.
And literally, the day after he was just about to buy them, a couple of our buddies were like, "Hey, man, we came across some of these mirrors. Do you want them?" And we're like, "Okay, what size are they?" The same exact size we needed. All we had to do was go pick them up.
Yeah. So
Great
saved
people.
over $1,000 and made an hour and a half, you know, round trip to pick them up.
And
Stop, see a few friends, and it's just the way it happens,
And
man.
I'm always about how you treat people as soon as they walk in the door. As soon as they walk in the door. And my thing is, I like to fist bump everybody on my way in and way out. You know, and I try to know every member. And now it's getting hard. It's
Yeah.
getting hard now, which is a good
I was
thing.
like, I'm gonna know everybody.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
don't work that way.
It is hard now, but it is good to still communicate with them when they come up there, ask them their name, just get some basic information with them. Just not like, okay, sign up for my gym, $50 a month, blah, 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 fill out this paperwork. No, get to know them, make them feel comfortable, walk them around, you know, introduce them to other members.
I'll cut it for here right now. If allow me to, thank you. Allow me to say this again. I know I've said thank you a million times. I will be back. If there's anybody you want to bring to my channel, just like I'm putting your guys' name and whatever. If there's somebody's story you want to see on my channel, don't hesitate to let me know. And as long as it doesn't even have to be here, but just a place where I can have a sit down with them and talk with them. I plan to have a sit down with one of the boxers here soon. But if there's anybody you would like to bring to my channel to help my community grow the same way I can help y'all's grow, please let me know.
I would say John Rivas, somebody who came never done strongman, but came from world record total in powerlifting to having a,
all-time world record.
yeah, to competing for his pro card and looking to have a very good shot to win the Arnold.
I'm gonna go ahead and cut it here.
Yeah.
Hey, but before,
No,
hey,
absolutely.
allow me to shake your
Yeah,
hand.
thank you.
Sir, allow me to shake your hand.
Next time I'll tell you about how I cut my finger off in the money.